Holy pincushions. This is Flight Check Season 2, Episode 17. We're back once again talking FlyQuest in all capacities. My name is Sandy Toes, and to my left and my extra left are my fellow hosts, Noxwar and Curly Double Q. Back one more time. But not the last time, obviously. Just one more time. Curly, after a week of games and ping controversy and everything pretty much going to chalk, how are you feeling about MSI so far? You got like a positive attitude towards it, negative? I think I've seen some discussion out there in the community. So how are you feeling about MSI?
I mean, for me, it's very up and down. Like, I think the addressing of the ping issue where it was like inconsistent with what was said, that was very good from Riot. I think that's a good response, and I would hope that it would have like just made everyone kind of like be quiet about the whole thing and just let the rest of it go. But you know, there was that weird announcement yesterday that I didn't fully understand, but essentially that said the client reporting for the LCK is different than what the actual thing is, and everyone's on the same ping, and everyone got confused. So I'd say for that aspect of it, it's like, all right, I'm kind of neutral towards it. Because even though I was hyped for some groups at the start, during the group draws, I then realized how bland some of the competition has been because of how predictable it is. I found myself being most excited for any time Saigon Buffalo was facing DFM. And that was about it. You know?
Yeah, it was it was a little strange for me because at first I was very excited. I do like seeing, the regions go up against each other, getting a general idea, especially the minor regions, like which ones are strong. But it just felt like almost every game was a stomp. RNG stomped through their group kind of like 1.5 times over. I mean, they basically went 9-0 in their group. T1 smashed their group. G2 smashed their group, although it was a little closer, I would say, on the G2 front. But yeah, just like the teams that were expected to win won, and the matchup that everyone thought was going to be way closer, Saigon versus DFM, was not close at all. And so yeah, just for me, it would just. I think what was frustrating for me, and Nox, I'll hit you on this next, like, it just felt like a little, like, boring, almost, and now kind of my excitement for the next stage has kind of been, like, snatched away a little bit, because I just had to watch 6 days of games that felt fairly meaningless, because we we basically knew what teams were going to go through, and we just kind of had to do that.
Giving you recommendations,
right? So well, every day you would. What I was going to say is, like, at first you were basically saying, like, yeah, watch these 3 games, get the highlights of these 2, and skip this one. And then by the end of the weekend, you were like, yeah, you can skip the whole day. And I was like, okay. And I straight up skipped all of Group A's like final games. Like, I didn't watch any of them. I did want to go back and watch the Saigon DFM game because I understand that was a banger, but I was just like, there's no need. I know T1's going to make it through. Saigon looks pretty good. And yeah, so I don't know, how are you has it been kind of boring for you? Maybe it's a format issue. I'm sure that's something we can discuss as well, but
yeah, no, this has been a very boring tournament. This format is not good. It's been all over Twitter, it's been all over Reddit. Like Jack and Mark Z have been talking about it on JLXP. It's been talked about on I Will Dominate's like podcast. Like, everyone's talking about how this format is just not good. And I mean, I actually even made a PowerPoint and I sent it to Jat because in his JLXP he was like, I would actually love for people to send me like ideas on formats on ways that MSI could be made, and I even followed like all of Mark Z's like, well, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. Like, I followed all those restrictions and was like, here is my suggestion. And so not that it does anything, right? Like, they don't have any power in dedicating it to or making any changes, but I thought it'd be something that'd be cool that maybe, hopefully, Jet will discuss on like the next JLXP and just at least point out flaws or something. But the point of the whole thing is, like, yes, this tournament has not been very entertaining. This format is awful. It doesn't invite that many exciting matchups outside of usually whatever group NA's in. And I say that unironically because, like, we are the best tier 2 region. And so we don't ever win against the tier 1s, but generally most of the time you can expect to have at least a competitive game. Yeah. And so sucks, but that's what you get out of it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so I think we're going to have some good discussions tonight, probably on format, some more of the ping controversy, and just kind of discussing where EG goes from here. There's a couple LCS roster confirmations and rumors that will hit, and then a little bit about Kadoran's weekend at Summit. I believe he was at Summit, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Smash Summit 13.
Yeah, so we'll be going over that. If you cannot catch all of the show tonight, the VOD will be available here and on YouTube on our channel Flight Check Podcast, and the audio version should go up on your favorite listening platforms as well in the next few days. And if you've got any Twitch Prime subs, hey, now's the time. Throw a bone your favorite FlyQuest podcaster's way. We'd certainly appreciate recouping some of our losses from Houston finals. So that Airbnb was not cheap. Neither were the plane tickets.
Nothing was cheap in Texas.
Yeah.
There was nothing cheap there.
They say
everything was the breakfast tacos.
Everything's bigger in Texas, right? Well, so were the prices. So, all right, let's get into it. Let's just hit some of the LCS rumors real quick, just to get those out of the way. So, couple confirmed ones. Immortals did announce that Wild Turtle has been released, so he is a free agent once again, which kind of tracks with some of the rumors that Lost is being brought in to replace him. And then the other one that I want to talk about is Gamsu from 100 Thieves Academy getting released as well, but not less of a release. Like, I want to find the tweet, actually. Here it is. Bid farewell to an integral part of our academy roster. While we hate to lose his talents, we are incredibly excited about his future plans for summer. Best of luck on the Rift and the road ahead. So to me, this sounds like Gamsu has another gig lined up. And I am curious to see where that is. My initial thoughts, Nox, are... Is the Dig top lane spot open for Mr. Gamsu? Is this the return of... I think he was on Dig a long time ago.
Yes, he was with Core JJ himself.
Is this the return of Dig Gamsu? Is this a possibility here?
I would absolutely say it's a fair possibility. It's kind of interesting. It's weird because Gamsu was gone for a while, right? He was playing in the Overwatch League, and it was during that time period he got his green card. And so I keep forgetting that he's technically a resident.
Yeah.
And so I sit here and I don't think about it. It's like, where is he going? This guy's a resident. He's like he's solid, but he's not like solid enough to get like an LCS starting spot as a resident. But as a non-resident.
Yeah, as an import. Yeah.
But then you think about it, and it's like, oh, wait, no, he does have his green card. He got it during his Overwatch days, which is why you don't think about it. And I would say, as a resident, I think Dig, it's an upgrade for Dignitas, for sure. So,
yeah.
And I would even beg the probability of it's probably a cheaper deal than Tenacity.
Yeah.
So, even though I think Tenacity, over time, probably has more upside, I think Gamsu's probably more of a win now option, and he's cheaper. So if Dig goes that route, I think it's actually a very, very smart choice if they go that route. But
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, I looked up Gamsu's Twitter, and he said 2 days ago, "I will always be grateful to 100T for taking a chance on me and giving me the chance I needed to come back to professional League of Legends. I'm excited to share later what I have been cooking." So I don't know. That could be a starter spot, but that could be any kind of thing. That could be coaching, something else. So I think there's a lot of possibilities. Curly, I mean, what are your thoughts? Are there, besides the dig route, what are some other options that you could see Gamsu going towards?
I mean, right now when I'm looking at the GCD, the dig top is that big blank spot. So I do think there's a high possibility, especially with you see Cole from 100 talking about how he's been underrating Gamsu and his actual ability. So there's a good chance that he might, I think this might actually be the most likely thing. The other thing I could see, though, is a potential of a sort of Broxa deal where he's a content creator, where he's even though he's not able to get an LCS spot, there might be people that recognize his abilities, and he can shift that towards more of a content focus, being part of podcasts or signing with a team as a creator. So that's the other thing that might come to my mind, because I see that happen with a lot of former pros. Like you see it with Meteos, you see it with Double Lift right now. So even though he might not have as big as a platform, I want to say that's just, at least to me, the only other highly likely thing, unless he might find another region to perform in.
But my only stipulation on that is if you become a content creator, you are already on 100 Thieves. Why not just stick with them?
Right.
100 Thieves content is they're crazy in their content. So I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Or he might be trying to have his own brand. Who knows?
Absolutely.
True.
So there's those two confirmed things. I don't think there's been anything else that has been confirmed. I will point out the Cloud9 rumors were confirmed. So it is indeed Fudge, Blabber, Jensen, Berserker, Sven as their roster. And then I do have to throw this one out there as well. Meech from Immortals AoE, now going to the CLG Academy spot as their bot laner. And that is because their bot laner, Prismal, is stepping away from Pro League of Legends for a while. So
sucks. That guy I really, really thought deserved a shot.
Yeah.
Coming into this past split.
Yeah. So so finally, our longtime viewer and listener TMB gets some justification for Meech getting an academy spot. So hey, there you go. Finally getting it. All right, and then a couple rumors. So there was a rumor that came out this week that the jungler for Order, Kevy, who's at MSI right now, well, eliminated now, is going to be picked up to play in Academy for CLG, a lot of CLG moves, as their jungler. And this is interesting, an interesting rumor. We were just talking about this pre-show. So Nox, you cut yourself off before you talked about it too much before we went live. So I want to ask you, if this does go through, okay, is Rose Thorn getting pushed out, or is Rose Thorn going up to the starting spot? And, that would mean contracts. Where does he go? So a whole lot of questions there.
Immortals has a big blank spot.
Immortals has a big blank spot in jungle. This is true.
Yeah, there's going to be some major roster shuffles no matter how you pin this, right?
Yeah.
But looking at CLG specifically with Kevy, I would definitely say with the way CLG looked this past split and how Contracts was, I think, in probably 90% of the community's eyes, objectively the 10th place jungler. And with Rose Thorn performing the way he did during the regular season of Academy, I would definitely say CLG is looking to bring Rose Thorn up, dropping Contracts, and that is where Kevy could possibly slot in. Whether they should do that or not, I'm still on the fence about, right? I'm very much for giving Rose Thorn a shot because Contracts has just not been it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, Ricebox being a little more brutal about it than me. He's saying straight up, just the worst player in the league. But I don't want to be that mean. But I mean, you may not be far off there, Rice. Yeah. So no matter what, I'm kind of in support of for CLG's sake dropping contracts. Bring Rosethorn up. Rosethorn looks very promising. I don't know if Kevy is the route you should go. I think there's probably other more promising options that you could pick up. But at the same time, who knows? Because I know CLG Amateur is a thing now, and there's been a lot of chaos actually going on in the amateur scene due to the CLG Amateur tryouts. Like, literally the whole scene is on pause right now until CLG locks in their amateur roster. It is actually kind of nuts.
I had not heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah, so in the next coming days, like, you're going to see a whole bunch, like, I don't know how much you guys follow on amateur Twitter, but there's going to be a whole bunch of roster blowups. Like, oh, we got a roster, it's all going to blow up in the next, like, 2 days. Because CLG is going to finally lock their stuff, and everyone's going to say, oh, hey, you were my second option, pick me up, and everyone's just going to, like, it's just going to be a mad dash.
Wow, that's super interesting. I did not realize that that was the issue with the amateur scene. I didn't realize CLG had
part of it is
that their presence was
yeah,
so
part
like
of it's
invasive to the whole scene. Okay,
well, it's not even that. It's not even invasive. Part of it is because you already have 100 Necks in there. You have EG Prodigies in there. There's a third amateur org that I heard was possibly looking at joining. I don't know if it ended up happening or not. I haven't been keeping up too much in the rumors. But CLG announced like only probably a week and a half to 2 weeks ago, like, hey, we're doing this. And they brought on Maya, who was helping out with Wildcard and a bunch of other collegiates teams. And she's super well respected. She's super smart. CLG brought her on, said, hey, we want you to lead this program. And everyone goes, oh, shit. This is an org that I actually want to play on right now because they're actually going to have backing, they're going to have funding and support. I got to get on this team if I want to make a name for myself. Which, fair play, like, do it. Like, CLG, amateur, like, even if you don't really think the org has been doing the best, it's still an LCS name brand in the amateur scene, and they're going to have backing and support for you. So that's why everyone anyone is trying to get in and onto this team right now. And if you don't get in, it's going to be a mad scramble trying to get to everywhere else.
Yeah, no, I mean, it'll be super interesting to see what the amateur scene looks like this summer. I think, especially after LCS finals, right? And people realizing that, hey, there might be some NA talent actually, within the things. One interesting thing, Curly, I want to get your thoughts on real quick. There was a rumor put out by LEC Wooloo that Cloud9's ex-support Winsome might be going over to Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition, I think over in the German league. And, I mean, that was just like a, moment for me when I saw that. I just don't know what to think about that. I don't know if you had any thoughts in particular there, but if you do, I'd love to hear about them.
I mean, I don't. So, of the ERLs, I pay most attention to LFL. And then it's like I see what Superliga and I believe it's called Prime League is the German one. I see mostly what they do when they get to, EU Masters. But, it's not unheard of LEC, like some of the lower tier teams, so to speak, or like not most top 3 teams, in my opinion, for both the LEC and the ERLs tend to nurture the talent they have there. And then it's like between 3 and 6 is where they get the imports. And so it's like, if you have, I think it'll be interesting to see how he performs in Germany if he does go there, especially because I don't know if he knows any German. But
yeah,
like seeing how that, like it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Maybe he has a better time playing with the Germans. Maybe they just play better League of Legends than us Americans.
Yeah, no, certainly,
right?
Absolutely possible.
For what it's worth, Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition does have a Korean mid laner.
Interesting.
Yeah,
so they'd be able to work together.
Yeah, I mean it's very possible.
I'm not as well versed though in the Prime League.
Yeah,
most of my love goes to K-Core.
Yeah, I mean, Knox, if this goes through, I mean, for me, it's a very interesting place for him to wind up. It's not where I would expect him to go,
It's not the first thing that comes to mind, no. I actually think it's a very smart move on Winsom's part if this was like his decision making.
Yeah.
I think he's also sponsored by Surge, that kind of talent agency group or whatever. So they may have played a part in it too. But either way, I actually think it's a very smart idea, and it's been something that's kind of been talked about. Probably, I've really seen like conversations about it pop up only like about 6 months ago. But like, players should start really going over to ERLs and like practicing and training over there, because they should actually have a better tier 2 scene than we do here in NA.
They do.
You saw Cody's son go over there.
Yeah.
Granted, he didn't really have much to show for it, but I mean, like, the concept's there, right? Like,
Right.
you should be able to get better. So if Winsome truly does want to compete and get better, I think Prime League is a prime, excuse the pun, breeding ground for training. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's very...
No, for sure. I think, I mean, I'll be interested to see if other players in the future start doing this. Yeah, we saw it with Cody Sun. Maybe we'll see it with other players now that Winsome has gone over there. But I do wonder if there is room for academy level talent that's looking to make it to LCS to go over to the ERLs and say like, hey, give me a shot. And they take them. And yeah, and then they get some good experience. So that's super interesting. Definitely something to keep an eye out on. And I think that's pretty much all the news that I know of, unless you guys are thinking of something else that I am missing. I'm looking at...
The only other thing I see, and I don't know if we've already talked about this, but Swiper for Golden Guardians is listed as a top laner. I don't know.
He's like a sub, technically. He's just one of the coaches.
Okay. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's about it. Oh, and then I think, the rumors did come out that, like, another rumor came out that Haru is supposed to be the new Vitality jungler, replacing Selfmade.
I mean, yeah, but that's poor Selfmade, bro.
Hey, Selfmade was the problem.
Always the problem, never
always the problem.
I will say, someone on that team, like, they're all prestigious names, right? Someone on that team had to bite the bullet.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
So, and I wish it was Alfari.
Yeah, I mean, fair. Yeah, fair.
That's just like your opinion, man. So, all right.
Look,
yeah,
nah, this is an NA podcast. We'll talk about LEC when summer comes back.
Oh, for sure. All right. Speaking of LEC and other regions, MSI wrapped up the group stage. As I get the little topic thing in there, wrapped up group stage, fairly predictable. T1 stomps through. RNG stomps through 1.5 times over. G2 stomps through. The things that I want to point out, DFM looked way worse than people expected them to be, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Won their first game and then 5 L's in a row. Like, they basically beat Team A's and then lost every single game, including the rematch against Team A's.
Which, damn, losing to Team A's is the biggest...
Yeah, imagine losing to Latin America. Oh, well. Red Canids, 2-4 over Istanbul Wildcats. Let's go, baby.
You're pretty happy about that one. Took the game off PCS as well.
Yeah, Brazil, represent. And Order doesn't even get a single game. And I think, actually, this is the most shocking thing to me. I expected them to get, like, one game somewhere. I expected it would have been against EG, but they get absolutely nothing. So that's a major feels bad, man. But we kind of alluded to this earlier. Just like this group stage early part format, just kind of meh. And now we're on to stage 2. And like looking at every single like potential matchup, now every single best of 1 is a banger best of 1. You're going to have T1 RNG. Saigon Buffalo is just an exciting team to watch. G2 is in there. PSG looked like they came online a bit more, after their first couple defeats. EG is there, and I mean that's kind of what I'm saying. EG is there, but I think it's super interesting. And I'm going to go out on a limb here. Besides RNG and T1, I think the remaining 2 spots in semifinals are kind of up for grabs. I think G2 probably a heavy favorite. But out of EG, PSG, and Saigon Buffalo, I think any one of those 3 teams could be the 4th team into semifinals.
Yeah.
And you could tell me the results right now. You could come back from the future and tell me, and I would be like, yeah, that makes sense. Totally. So, Knox, why don't we talk about just I don't think we really need to hit the group stage itself, because it kind of went the way we expected it to. Maybe the one thing that we want to hit on is just EG 4-0 over OS and 0-4 to EU. So, I mean, that's not the greatest trend coming into Rumble stage. It doesn't look great. I mean, for you, how does that bode going into stiffer competition in T1 and RNG, but also potentially lighter competition in Saigon and PSG?
I feel like I may get pushed back on this one, but legitimately, I feel like EG was looking better and better every single game they played. So with that said, I actually have a fair amount of hope for them coming into the second Rumble stage, because I think if you track EG throughout the 8 games that they played against G2, the first game was they got rolled pretty bad. The second game was they were getting rolled, kind of got back into the game off of a dumb G2 Baron throw, and then threw it away really, really terribly. Third game, again, kind of getting rolled in the early game. EG was making progress in the back half, and then ended up losing it as well. And then the fourth game was just, honestly, most of it, EG was winning everything outside of the team fights. And that was it. So I think, actually, EG's leveled up a lot this tournament. They are still not going to be able to take games off of T1 and RNG, and hell, maybe they still won't do G2. But I think the level of play that they've gained off of this group stage is going to be enough to secure wins against PSG and Saigon. I really do think so.
Yeah.
At least I'm hoping. I'm being NA optimistic right now, hopefully, but I have faith. I really, really do have faith.
Oh, for sure. Curly, yeah, what do you think about that statement that EG got better as the group stage went on?
I'll definitely agree with that, and honestly, that's kind of something I expected, because that's, I think I said it last week, where there's a good chance that this is going to be a microcosm of how they did spring, because at the beginning of spring they kind of weren't all that. They were I didn't give them a second look. I expected us to be above them, and then by the end they came online, and then they won the shit out of LCS, right?
Yeah.
They went on an absolute stomp from 4th seed, on the verge of elimination, to 3-0ing the 2, I would argue, actual best teams in the league after C9's flop. So this is a team that shows adaptability, and you can even actually see that in that second game where they are, which I reviewed today, where they find that moment where they get the Caps shut down and they take control of the game, because they're like, all right, Caps can't come save the team. We can take this 3v4, win it, get the Baron, and that was one of the most effective Baron usages I've ever seen in pro play, because they went from just getting the Baron and only having one turret in the top lane to now they had all tier 1 and tier 2 turrets, and they had the bot and mid in it, all off of one Baron and a team fight. So this is a team that I think can learn and adapt on the fly, but we need to be very, very cautious about their team fighting, because I think that's where they're going to fall short.
Yeah.
And so I'm optimistic for them, because when it came to any time, especially after day 2, anytime they faced Order, they like got a little bit serious and they were like, all right, we're going to stomp like we should. And so I do believe they're going to be like, they're not going to take PSG Talon or Saigon Buffalo lightly.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to perform like we need to kick their teeth in, because we're supposed to be above them. But because of the whole team fighting asterisk, I'm nervous that they might be one of potentially 2 teams to drop to Saigon Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only other teams would either be RNG, because as good as they are, I feel like because they RNG and the general LPL kind of like scrappy style, I think is something that VCS and specifically Saigon Buffalo would be able to thrive off of. And so, like, it's going to be I'm actually very excited for the Rumble stage to see how these teams perform. But yeah, with NA, so I'm hoping that EG kind of like grow, especially during this week off.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to see us finally taking them off of G2, because I think by now we've learned. We've gotten our asses kicked 4 times by EU. We've got to figure out how we can like take it back.
Yeah, I think the thing I liked about EG in pretty much all the EU games, I don't know what that face was for, Nox. The thing that I liked about
his comment on like if SGB makes top 4, but just imagine how strong Gigabyte is.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Holy! I wasn't even thinking about it.
Yeah. Now I have a side note on that, and just let me do my first thought.
Yeah, sorry.
Unlike
like
some NA teams that you would see at international events, it never felt like EG gave up in any of the games. Like, it never felt like they were like, all right, we're losing, we're done. No, they kept playing. And at certain points, there were actually moments where like they could have won probably 2 of those games if they had just played it a little bit better. So there's that. I don't think I mean, they're not going to go 0-10 in this stage at all. The other thought I had, is Vietnam going to get 2 slots at Worlds this year?
They should have one in the main stage and one in the play-in stage.
Yeah, so that'll be really interesting to see. Very excited to have 2 Vietnamese teams back. That'll be really cool. All right, so let's talk. Let's just talk about Rumble stage. I think we'll do Rumble stage, looking ahead to that, and then we'll talk about the format a bit and what we like and what we would change, because I think there's some good thoughts to be had there. So Rumble stage, I don't see the schedule does not appear to be out yet. It's not on LOLpedia. Let me see if it's on LOL Esports real quick.
It's on lol.fandom.com. It's not specifically laid out.
Right, like we don't know who's playing first and whatnot, which would be.
No, it's not been released.
Right, so that'll be super interesting to see how things come down, and they got to release that because that's coming up quick. That starts Friday. So that you could.
My guess is for viewership, they're going to kick it off with LCK versus LPL.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at all.
Yeah, they'll do their best to make sure the Western games take place later in the day, so that way Western regions have a chance at watching them.
Yeah, at like 7 a.m. or something like that.
Mm.
I mean, so let's have some realistic talk about how well we think EG can do here. I mean, I, for one, look at this as a likely, probably like around a 4-6, if I had to guess. Like, I think, Saigon is beatable. I think PSG is beatable. And then I think they can scrap a game from, one of G2, RNG, even T1. Like, NA always gets that one random win against, like, China or Korea. Cloud9 did it last year, even though they didn't make it out of Rumble stage. Like, we always manage to get that one random win on stage against a top-tier region. So, I mean, right now, I feel like 4-6 is probably it, and then you either get the tiebreaker for 4th or you just get through anyways. But that's kind of where I'm leaning right now. Curly, how are you feeling about EG's chances in Rumble stage?
I'm thinking it's going to be more likely a potential 5-5. I think they're kind of going to go even. I do not think we got a chance against T1. Like, I very much switched up my opinion about T1 in the whole tournament overall after this whole week. I do think they'll be able to pull a game out of G2 and a game out of RNG. I'm fearful they will drop a game to Saigon Buffalo, but I don't think they should lose to PSG Talon at all, if I'm being honest, just because of the way I've seen them play. Like, PSG Talon definitely has woken up at the latter half of the group stage, but I still think EG is just going to be better, you know?
Right.
So I think it's going to be a solid 5-5. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 4th place. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm feeling. Like, we're going to sneak into the knockout stage, and then we'll see how we go from there.
Yeah, for sure. Nox,
very different tune from last week.
Nox, how are you feeling about Rumble stage so far?
Get specific with it. We are going to 2-0 PSG. We're going to go 1-1 with Saigon. We are going to go 0-2 to G2. We're going to take one game off of RNG, and we're going to go 0-2 to T1. Totaling being 4-6 overall, and we will sneak in 4th.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that happening.
I love that we're in agreement that we'll probably be one of the teams to lose to Saigon Buffalo. I also will somehow beat China.
No, I mean, that's just the dichotomy of NA, right? Like, wins a game against China or Korea, drops a game to the random Vietnamese or, minor region team. I'm enjoying the people in chat saying Saigon Buffalo will go 10-0. Considering they couldn't beat T1 in the group stage, I kind of doubt that. I think T1 is still my favorite right now. I think they're definitely my front runners, but I'm excited for Saigon. Here's what would be amazing. It's T1, RNG, EG, Saigon as the 1, 2, 3, 4, right? G2 collapses. And then, all right, I'm predicting the future here. Saigon surprises T1. They just absolutely smack them. RNG, definitely good, but I think decidedly weaker than T1, in my opinion. EG beats RNG. And it's an EG Saigon Buffalo finals. It goes to Game 5. Saigon Buffalo pulls out the Nasus support. And it decimates the EG bot lane. And Saigon Buffalo wins. And Vietnam is number 1 in the world.
Andy, have you ever considered being a fanfic writer?
What in the world? I think I need to call the TVA right now.
I hit all the salient points, didn't I?
This is a huge branch off the sacred timeline. Jeez, bro.
Yeah. No, I mean, NASA support. I'm just waiting for the NASA support. It's coming.
Man.
It's coming. Don't worry.
Oh, no.
It's on its way.
So
it's
actually,
not cringe. It's real. It's
I
real.
A legitimate point real quick, though, because something Peter Dunn said in the Oracle's Elixir Discord was basically that the Vietnamese bot lane was pretty much the only bot lane that was consistently just smashing EG in scrims.
Yeah.
Like, their bot lane, from the sounds of it from Peter Dunn's perspective, is like the best lane in the tournament, which I'm almost inclined to agree. Like, I want to see how they match up against RNG's bot lane, and that's pretty much it. Because I actually, they showed against T1 that they absolutely can smash them in lane.
First blooded T1 at the start of the tournament.
So
Yeah,
I just their bot lane is nutty, and I'm very, very excited to watch those lane matchups.
For sure. All right. Okay, here's the other question. Is T1 going to go undefeated in this group stage?
No, G2 is going to take at least one game off of them.
Okay.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'll also say no, but I'm not confident enough to say who.
No, it's
Who's
definitely
gonna
going to be
take
G2.
off?
And probably RNG, but like definitely G2. It's just
I
G2.
don't think
T1, it happens.
if T1 drops a game, it'll be to a random team, not RNG. I think it'll be one of the other 4 teams just randomly getting a dub.
It won't be us. It's not going to be us.
No, it could absolutely happen. And then NA is just going to get incredibly hype and, and then we'll lose in semis. This is the other timeline that I'm going to predict. We beat T1. It's incredibly hype. Like, we beat T1 to get into semis. Like, they're the 10th game. EG beats them. And then we're all like, oh my gosh, we beat T1, and now we're in semis. And then we have to go up against T1 in semis. And then they just stomp them 3-0. And, the hype is crushed.
See, here's the thing, right?
Eat tonight, Sandy, because you're like full of opium right now.
I had some really good pizza earlier.
Is there like a Timo nearby or something? Like, what's up? But no, I'm going to reinforce though my G2 claim because G2 is known as the LC killers. So like I really do think they've just got, and then especially like they're performing out of their minds. I want to say at least in our group, and I want to say among like higher than most other teams in the stage, are the most coordinated team. Because specifically from the game I saw today, it's like there was never a lane versus lane fight. It was always someone else was ready to join in at some point, meaning Yankos was perfectly there for the gank, or Caps had roamed, or Targamas had roamed up mid to help Caps. Like, they are always ready to outnumber you in the early game to get everyone ahead at the same time. And so they have a really monstrous early game, and I think that's something they would be able to hold over T1, and then they just have to not lose a Baron fight after an overextended split push, and they can absolutely take it off. But
no, yeah.
So that's my case for G2.
I could see it. All right. MSI Rumble stage starts Friday. We have no idea who plays when EG plays, so we will...
Check it up yourself.
Yeah, figure it out. All right, the MSI format. A lot of discussion about how boring the group stage was. One suggestion, and you might have suggested this, Nox, is a Swiss-style format for this first part.
Yes, you want to just pull up the PowerPoint, Sandy?
No, I don't have time for a PowerPoint.
We don't have time for the PowerPoint,
okay,
but
bullet point PowerPoint.
I mean, for those not familiar with Swiss style, why don't you give like a 30-second rundown of how that would work? Because I think what I presume you had was it's Swiss style for like these 11 regions, and then you get the top 6 out of that, and then you go to the normal group stage, right?
Okay.
Oh,
no,
boy.
I made it a lot more bigger than that.
Oh, dear.
I basically copied the current format for the current CSGO major that is happening right now. So the way the CSGO majors work right now are...
Strap in, everybody.
Teams come into the bottom Swiss bracket, right? These are usually your like mid-tier teams and your bottom-tier teams that are like the quote-unquote like the wild cards of like CSGO or whatever. Basically, it's 16 teams, and they're seeded 1 through 16. 1 will play 16, 2 will play 15, so on and so forth. And then it's just a best of 1. What happens then is whoever wins that goes into an upper bracket, quote-unquote, and whoever loses that goes into a bottom bracket. And then you play someone else who's at the top of that, and if you're at the bottom of that particular bracket, you play them, and so on and so forth, and the same on the other side. And basically, you slowly filter to 2 different pyramids at the very end of the tip, and whoever is at the very top half, like whoever gets the 3 wins first out of those 16, they move on. If you don't make 3 wins in that bracket stage, you are out of the tournament. So what I ended up suggesting for MSI is that every region now sends its top 2 teams. So you now have a total of 24 teams. And you take the top 8 regions first seeds, and they automatically get placed in the top Swiss bracket, and the rest get put in the bottom bracket. And you play out 2 Swiss brackets, top 8 move on to the next one, you play out another Swiss bracket, then you go on to bracket stage, and that's just a regular best of 3 for quarterfinals, first versus 8th, second versus 7th, so on and so forth. Semifinals are best of 5, finals are best of 5. That is MSI. That is like my condensed version of it.
I mean, that's pretty good. I certainly do like it. I think you could probably do like a 3 or 4 round. It would be kind of feels bad for probably the minor region teams, but you could probably do like a 3 or 4 round Swiss. To whittle it down from 11 to 6, and then you do the group stage. But yeah, I mean that's certainly an interesting format. I think overall though, Curly, I think you would probably agree, the format does need to change.
It does need to change.
And it's clear that we've been stuck with this format for too long, and the Worlds format for too long. The only thing that's really changed about both MSI and Worlds is the play-in stage. Like, it went from minor regions did their own thing to now the minor regions play the major regions in some basically performative matches that mean pretty much nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I think for MSI at the very least, that Swiss style, or like copying the current CSGO major, sounded like a little much for something that's mid-season. Because I think like if you try to make it something so big, because something I like about the mid-season is I consider it more supposed to be a check-in on how everyone's doing, and they get that international competition against other regions so they know what to prepare for Worlds. So it's something that's still fun because it's the novelty of international, but it's not more hype than Worlds, and it's not, and because you want your end of the season thing to be the most hype thing whatsoever. So that being said, MSI is still lackluster from what I want it to be. So I don't think something like the Swiss style or like what you recommended, Nox, is bad. It just sounds like too much, especially for Riot Production to do. It's already a lot coordinating all these regions, all these different broadcasts and all that stuff for something that is in the middle of a bunch of splits. Like, I feel like you'd have to change the overall seasons for everyone altogether to make sure you'd have enough time for all of it, because that is a lot of production.
I actually accounted for all of that in the PowerPoint.
Oh gosh, you can drop it in the Discord later. But
so the only thing I changed was I added 1 extra day of show days, and there's 2 days worth of show days that have an extra 3 hours tacked on, and that is all that I had to add.
Ooh, that is so much. That is so much from a production aspect, in my opinion. But I mean, it's feasible, I guess. But
it's feasible, is what I was of the opinion of.
But in my opinion, I'm going to be honest, I think we need to make MSI shorter and simpler, and it needs to only be 2 weeks. Period. And so I think, like, I don't have a perfect format in my head, but what I imagine, and I think I've seen like some other recommendations similar to this, is like, you know, Pool 1 teams, LCK, LPL, LEC, they automatically get into what is the Rumble stage, or like, you know, something like that. They just get to do it. If you want to have 4 teams, then I'd say NA is that, but if you want NA to have to play in, then you do the play-ins. And this is also going to be under the... Actually, no, I would say NA also automatically gets a spot, because in terms of viewership, they would bring a good amount. So you have those 4 teams automatically in the mid-stage. Now, what you do is, if you want to keep it like the current Rumble, where it's only 6 teams, you have 2 groups of the minor regions, and this is assuming all 12 regions are there. You have 2 groups, and the top performer, like the top 2 from each, get to enter a mini semifinals, and the top 2 teams then get in. And there's just kind of a show match at the end of like, all right, who is in what seed, you know? So who's 5th, who's 6th, and all that stuff. I mean, granted, they still would go on anyway, and it'd be kind of like the Rumble stage, but that could take place over much less time, and the four major regions wouldn't even have to play that initial group stage. You can do all the round robins in less time. And then you have the Rumble stage, and then you have the semifinals like it is. It's 2 weeks. It's shorter. It's a lot more sweet. The group stages mean a lot more because it's more of a play-ins, and it's actually unique competition. You're not expecting stomps everywhere. And then there's a nice window on both sides of the before and after for teams to just kind of rest and get ready for the next thing, because it prevents the kind of burnout that happens from going all the way in MSI, because that's the curse of MSI. Is you always see, like, you tend to see the winners or like people who go far struggle to pick their feet back up in the summer portions of their season. So I really think, like, as much as I love MSI as an idea and think it should be something more hype, I think it's also something that needs to be shorter, which would help with the hype. You know what I mean?
That's fair. For my part, I would actually just copy over the VCT Masters format. I think you get best of threes straight from the start. Double elimination pretty much the whole way through. Yes, would it suck for a team to go and then basically get like 2-0, 2-0'd? Yes. And I think you also, at that point, like, you would need maybe to restructure, like, how many teams come from what regions. Like, maybe China and Korea each get 2. And then, because you got to, like, bring it up to probably 16 teams for MSI. But I think going to Worlds, this would be very easy to do. It would be very easy to set this up as a possibility, as a format. So I just think there's a better way, and I think people generally are very tired of best of ones in the international space, because I don't think over time it, especially like here at MSI, where we basically are going to watch like almost 100 best of ones, and then we get 3 best of 5s to close out the tournament, and that just doesn't feel like enough.
MSI in total has a total of 66 group stage games.
Yeah, and then you get maximum 15 games in a best of 5 format, potentially as few as 9 in a best of 5. So it's the disparity there, I think, is what people are struggling with. I could see a world, because Ricebox says I would prefer more best of 5s, but I appreciate at least some best of 1s. I think you bring back kind of like the wild card play-in tournament, where the wild cards play each other, the minor regions, and they play each other in kind of a group stage thing. And then it's best of 3s throughout. I mean, I think that's very possible. All right.
All right. Real quick, just because did you watch Jats JLXP on formats?
I did the first 2, so I don't think I've seen that one yet.
Okay, so just the only reason I'm saying it really quick is because it's just literally he addresses your point about the wildcard tournaments, and that Riot no longer wants to do them because it did not pull in the viewership that they wanted, and the production costs of it were far too high for them to do. So they no longer want to do separate wildcard tournaments, which sucks because International Wildcard Invitational, International Wildcard Qualifier were like dope as hell.
They actually were
watching those back in 2015 and 2016.
Those were some bangers, actually. Okay. I have a surprise twist for you guys.
What is it, bait or great?
I have a bait or great for you.
I called it. I knew it was coming.
And I think it's a much better one than the one. What was the one I had last week?
Rengar, which
Rengar.
I was very incorrect about that. Still waiting on my 30% pick rate.
Yeah. But I do have one. I actually have 2. Do you guys want the mid laner one, or do you want the jungler one?
The jungler last week with Rengar, so I was going to say let's do mid.
All right, mid lane.
Let's do mid.
Okay. So this champion, just to give you some context, I'm going to give you like the stats for it first before I say the name.
Mm-hmm.
So it has a 67% presence. It's been picked 11 times and banned 13 times.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely been showing up. However, it only has a 36% win rate. It is 4-7. I also want to note that it was banned on blue side. It's basically, of those 13 bans, 10 of them have been on blue side, and 9 of the 11 picks have also been on blue side. So basically, like, tons of blue side priority for picking it, and if you're not going to pick it, you're banning it on blue side generally.
Is it Twisted Fate?
However, it has a 36% win rate. Bait or great, Twisted Fate. And yes,
okay,
that
I was like, hold on. I was like, the moment you said blue
Twisted
side, the moment you said blue side, I was like, it's Twisted Fate.
So, I mean, I was just looking at these stats, and it's fascinating to me that teams are picking this, like, prioritizing this so highly on blue side, and yet the win rate is abysmal. It's 4-7. It's a sample size of 11 games, but still, only a 36% win rate. I mean, just looking at who has played it, the people who have won: Faker, Froggy, Xiaohu, and Caps. And then the L's were Yaharong twice, Kisei, Grevthar, Jojo Pune. Kisei lost on it twice. Yaharong lost on it twice. So, and 4 of those times, the TF lost to the Silas. A couple times to Gwen. So, yeah, Twisted Fate. Bait or great?
I think Arkham Avalon says it best in the chat right now. It's bait for bad teams. But if you have a great mid laner, it's great. Which, considering the formats, or like considering the mid laners that you'd named, they're all pretty good. Like Frog, like who did Froggy win against with the TF? Because Froggy is for
He's Saigon Buffalo.
Yeah.
So who did he win against with the TF?
He beat Team A's with it, and he was going into Galio.
Interesting. So that's against Team A's, right? That's kind of a free win, no matter what. So I feel like I gotta take Froggy out of the mix there. But the other 3 that have true, genuine showmanship with this are TF, are Faker, Caps, and Xiaohu. So if you're not named those, I don't think you should pick it, respectfully. Maybe JoJo could get it off against PSG Talon, or hypothetically Saigon Buffalo, but no one else should be picking TF.
There you go. Nox, what are your thoughts on TF?
Is there an option in between bait and great?
I mean, you could take what Curly just said and bait for bad teams, great for good teams that know how to utilize it.
I don't even necessarily think it's bait for bad teams either. I mean, I feel like no matter what champions picked in those matchups, like, those teams were going to get rolled anyway. I don't think TF really played into baiting like the team into I don't think TF's a bait at all. I also don't necessarily think it's all that great. I think it's a little over prioritized based off the stats you were listing. So, because what you said, it was it was picked 12 times, banned 13, with a presence of like 67 or something.
It was picked 11 times and banned 13. So it's 67% presence.
Yeah, that I think I'd be like very happy with TF if he was probably sitting around like a 50% presence rate but 67 is a little high for me. I think he's a little over prioritized, but I don't think he's bait. I don't necessarily think he's great either. I think he's just a solid option for teams, and at least for the teams who lost with them, like that win percentage, I really do think just kind of comes down to the teams themselves. I don't think the champion pick itself has to do anything with the actual win-loss ratio.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
I mean that's totally fair. I mean, just looking at some of the defeats. Yeah, a lot of them, they were going into pretty good teams, or at least teams that were supposed to be better than them. So, yeah, well, I mean, but that's why I think it's interesting, because, like, the stats don't look amazing for it, but, that doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. So, okay, that was our surprise bait or great. I think we're pretty much wrapped up with MSI.
I thought there were 2.
Oh, well, I mean, I could do
for next week.
Well, I could
okay.
I could give you the jungler if you want real fast. We could do it.
Yeah,
we could do a second one.
We can do a speed round.
All right, speed round. All right, jungler picked 16 times, banned 5. So, no. Stop guessing. So 58% presence. But it is 5 and 11 so far. And then it's been pretty even for, which side has it. This bait or great for the jungle is Viego.
He's been picked that much?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
16 times, 7 on blue, 9 on red. And 5 and 11 so far. Looking at who has played him.
One with it.
We had some, Yankos got a dub. Wei has had 2 dubs. Bean J, Steel played a couple times. Inspired lost once. Juhan lost a couple times.
Okay, I'm going to make this simple. Curly's argument for Twisted Fate, apply that one to this one, and that's my argument.
I'm going to be honest. I don't even think it's bait or great. I think it comes strictly like we literally flip arguments. It literally just comes down to the actual matchup itself. Everything here in the data I'm looking at is like, yeah, the better team chose to pick Viego this time, and I guess they won. Yeah, the worst team for some reason chose Viego, and I guess they lost.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's tied at all.
Yeah, no, I think. I think that's totally good. I mean, it's just super.
Cannot believe we just swapped opinions on champions.
The old platform switch.
That's pretty funny. All right, there we go. That is the MSI conversation for now, and I'm sure we'll be back to more. Interestingly enough, just looking at how the schedule is supposed to go. Looks like we will do our next show the night before the final day of Rumble. So that could be very interesting. So we'll see.
We won't be able to get a proper one, a recap of the Rumble, will we?
Well,
we'll
see.
We can do like a Wednesday night show if y'all want.
We'll talk about it off air. We'll figure that out. So, in other news, Kodorin made his way to Smash Summit this past weekend, and Nox, let's hear from you because you said you watched a lot of his matches. How did
as much
Summit...
as I could?
Yeah. So how did he look at Summit?
If I'm being completely honest. I watched his video on this too. He posted on his Twitter basically. He was like, "I feel like I'm like quoting, paraphrasing. He's like, I feel like I got underseeded a little bit, and he did have a really tough group. Like his initial Smash group was Leffen, Hungry Box, and Salt.
Oof.
Like that is a hell of a group to start off in. So he went 0-3 against Leffen, and he went 1-3 against Hungry Box. I didn't get to watch his Salt match. And then the other two that I did get to watch was when they finally reached bracket stage, he played against Mango, and he beat him 3-2, which was awesome. And it was a very, very clutch stage 5. And then he happened to run into Zane, who is currently the best Marth player in the world. And so you had a Marth Mir matchup, and he got 0-3 there, and he dropped out. And I would say at the end of it, he looked... The matches I watched, I'll be honest, he didn't look all that competitive, which really sucks. But then I watched the Mango match, and it was just like, oh, holy shit, he's on. Then he hit the Zane matchup, and it was just like, I don't even think he played the Zane matchup all that bad. Granted, I'm not super technical in the Smash realm, so I don't know how all the mechanics and stuff work. But he looked like he was like handling him for the most part, and they were like close losses on all 3 stages, but he did get 0-3 at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I would say overall it was a solid-ish tournament for Kadoran, but I guarantee you, check his Twitter, he was not happy. But
yeah,
go seriously, if you want to get into Smash and you want to go support Kadoran, go rewatch the Mango Kadoran matchup. Those 5 stages were awesome. It was a great match.
No, yeah, I mean, I think I think, you know, his time with FlyQuest is still very much, you know, on the outset. Like, he's still, you know, very new to what he's accomplishing here and everything. I think, yeah, I mean, I'm still excited to watch him, you know, play. It's still great that we've got another esport to be into. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure for him it's not easy to get stuck in a group like that and then having to go up against so many good players. I think beating Mango, I think 3-2, you said it was. I mean, that's really good. Like, Mango's just one of the old gods.
He's one of the goats.
One of the old gods. Yeah, for sure. But Zane is like the new goat, really. He's like, Zane's really on the come up. And so, I mean, I think Zane, Kadoran, guys like them, they're really the future of Melee. So I'm excited to see how that, like, rivalry almost, I don't know if I want to call it a rivalry yet, but how that narrative maybe flourishes as time goes on. So
right now, there's not much of a rivalry. From the brief research that I've done, it sounds like Zane pretty much just holds anything and everything over Kadoran right now. Like, if Kadoran is the number 2 Marth player in the world right now, like, Zane is number 1 by a still solid mile.
Oh, for sure. So, so I'm just interested to see though where the narrative goes with them. Okay, anything else on Kadoran or other FlyQuest or other... Oh, we wanted to talk about the Korean solo queue. Actually, breaking news, as of like 20 minutes ago, Johnson hit Challenger in 8 days. He hit Korean Challenger in 8 days, which is absolutely crazy. If you're looking to...
bro? Come on.
If you're looking to track his account, it is just straight up Fly Johnson. So pretty easy to follow. We did have a list of the whole team, or most of the team's Korean solo queue accounts and what the names were, but they have been changing them here and there. So I'm not exactly sure what the current list out is, but Nox, did you have I don't know if you had the OPGGs pulled up or what, but if you
I pretty much have them off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, so why don't you fire away with where everyone's chilling at?
So Jose Dioto is just shy of Challenger right now. He's like a solid... I can't remember if he was Grandmasters or Masters, but he's in that range right now. Philip is currently low Masters. Kumo is high Masters. Who am I forgetting? Johnson just a Challenger, which is really, really dope. I've yet to see Tomo's solo queue account. The list that I got, I don't know if the name was misspelled or what, but I was never even able to look up Tomo at all. But supposedly he's doing really, really well too. And then everyone else I have not heard on. So I know Takui and Aframu were confirmed heading over to Korea later. I don't know if they're over there yet or if they're like just now arriving. I don't know what the deal with that is. So those are pretty much all the ones that I know for sure.
Solid. Curly, what's your expectation for Korean solo queue? Should everyone make it to Challenger by the end of the month? Is that what we should expect here?
I mean, the main roster, absolutely. I mean, like, if Johnson can reach Challenger in 8 days on ADC, granted that I don't know if he's grinding more than the others, or if he's just had luckier teammates, or what the deal is, but if he can do it as an ADC within 8 days, I'm sure the rest of the squad can get up to Challenger by the end of the month for sure. And
sucked. Oh, sorry, continue.
But then, as for Academy, I'm hoping that they reach Challenger. I don't know where everyone's going to be, especially because, particularly with Philip and Yuji and Spirax, because they're younger players and they're still growing as players, being introduced to this Korean environment, I don't know if it's going to be a new experience for them. And I don't know, specifically with Yuji coming from Mongolia, I don't know how that might translate to his performance in solo queue. But I hope that they're able to reach Challenger by the end of their stint there. But yeah.
I was going to say, for Jose Deodo, he was actually on track to be the first to hit Challenger, and then he had an 11-game loss streak. And I didn't look at the actual details of the match, but like if you look at his KDAs, it doesn't look his fault. Like he looked like he was just getting crappy teams, so it sucked. He actually should have been Challenger probably even in 7 days over Johnson, but he just, I don't know what the hell Riot threw at him, but he just got some awful teams.
Well, it's good to know that there's one thing that Jose and I have in common, and that is my teammates holding me back in solo queue.
Always and forever.
That is, we do have that in common. I believe that's everything for the show, unless you guys have something else. Otherwise, I'm going to wind us down.
No, I don't think so. I think that's pretty much it.
Cool.
No, I'm ready to wind down. I've been up since 4 a.m.
Ooh boy. Alrighty. Well, in that case, thank you everybody for tuning into this episode of Flight Check. MSI Rumble stage starts Friday at 4 a.m. again. So change your sleep schedule or be prepared to watch in the afternoon along with me, which is what I'll be doing all weekend long.
I'll try and have recommendations in the chat sometime in the morning-ish. Because
yes.
Usually I wake up and it's the first thing I knock out. So if anyone wants to know whether to skip, highlights, or watch, I'll try and have that in our Discord.
I can tell you right now what it's going to be. T1 RNG, always watch. T1 G2, always watch. EG Saigon Buffalo, watch the one that we lose. There's too many to go
Honestly,
through.
I think you should probably be watching most
everything.
Yeah, I will not be tossing anywhere near as many skips as I was in the play-in stage, but there's probably going to be a couple, like, just watch the highlights of this one.
For sure.
Like T1 versus PSG Talent, probably.
Yeah, probably something like that. I wouldn't be surprised.
For sure. So we'll be following MSI Rumble stage very closely, of course. So be sure to follow us on Twitter for all our instant reactions and thoughts. You can catch the show at Flight Check Crew, myself at Santos DB, nice cough there, Nox at Noxwar with 2 R's, and Curly at Curly_QQ_. If you follow the show on Twitter, do make sure to check the Twitter on Mondays. Sometimes we'll announce if the show is going to be late or if there's no show. That way you are not taken by surprise. And like we were just saying, make sure to hop into the Flight Check Discord as well. There should be a link in the chat, or you can find it probably in the video description as well. All kinds of esports discussion and posting of food and LCS roster rumors taking place there. And PowerPoints. And if you missed any part of this episode, the VOD will be up on YouTube later tonight or tomorrow morning. The audio version of this episode will go up on your podcast listening platforms sometime later this week. And if you are listening to that and would like to catch the show live, we broadcast the episode almost every Monday night at almost 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. Curly, any final notes, plugs, shoutouts before we call it a night?
I think my final notes are just with MSI. Like, despite the lackluster excitement from some of the matches, I still enjoy the international tournament, and like most importantly, shout out to the broadcast team, bringing a lot of collaboration and excitement when they can to matches. Like the whole little bingo thing they had when they knew it was going to be a boring day was very exciting. So just like shout out to them, especially with working with a lot of strange international schedule. They're like, you're trying your best, Riot, and I appreciate that.
Totally fair. Nox, how about you?
Shout out to you guys as always. Appreciate doing this every week, especially because it's kind of boring right now with only international content that's going on in the middle of the night. Hopefully Fly gets started soon and we can actually get down to the good discussion. Mm-hmm. Other than that, man, I don't know. My brain's fried. I've been awake for way too long.
Absolutely. Very fair. For my part, I'm trying to think if I have any good shoutouts.
May not be a shoutout week right now.
You know,
we may just not have shoutouts.
It might not be a shoutout week. I didn't have anything planned for shoutouts.
Here, hold on. Sandy, I'll give you one. Shout out to Afromu for the Bard video.
Oh, shout out to Afromu for dropping a how to play Bard video. You know, that looks real good, and I can't wait to watch it.
It's the jungler.
Yeah, the jungler and you really needs to watch that Bard support.
I do like to off-roll support. I think it's fun because normally people who play support when they get off-rolled aren't actually good at it. So, you know, I try to be a decent support. So hey, shout out to good supports because the world needs more of you out there. That is everything from us. We'll be back next week sometime to talk about how Rumble Stage is going. So for now, I'll just say, stay safe out there. Don't forget to hit the head on the nail. And we'll see you all very, very soon. Adios.
Good one, guys.
Peace, y'all.